Cameras capable of taking 3D images are to be given out across the Middle East in a bid to save history. Following the destruction of parts of the ancient city of Palmyra in Syria, there's a renewed urgency to save what can be from Islamic State militants. Thousands of people will be asked to capture images as part of a project by Oxford and Harvard archaeologists. Well, the photographs would allow academics to use 3D printers to build replicas of damaged buildings and artefacts. Erin Simmons is from the Institute of Digital Archaeology, the group behind the project. She joins me now. Well, it sounds intriguing. Have you actually started doing it, and how many cameras are you going to be giving out?
Well, the plan is to have 5,000 cameras disseminated by January 2016, which I know sounds like a lot, but we've already got a lot of those manufactured and ready to go. They're very cost-effective, they're inexpensive, they're just digital point-and-shoot cameras that have had software modifications, so anyone can use them, and they should be relatively easy to get into local areas.
Well, you say relatively easy. I mean, how are you going to do that in parts of territory, for example, which are occupied by Islamic State, like Palmyra?
Well, we've been very, very clear that our two criteria are sites that we consider to be at risk, but also sites that are accessible. If it appears that a site is inaccessible or too dangerous for collaborators to work in, we won't try and get in. We'll simply move on to the next site. As important as it is that we preserve our cultural heritage, we also don't want to put anyone directly in the line of fire.
The technology, just explain how it happens, because will these pictures be emailed back to you and then converted into 3D objects back here or in the States? How will it work?
It's actually faster than that. The cameras themselves are Wi-Fi capable, so people who are taking these images should be able to upload them directly to an open source database that's hosted by the Institute for the Study of the Ancient World at NYU. And this open source database will operate much like Wikipedia, so that people can access the images, they can add articles. Every image will have a GPS tag. People will be able to add additional images, possibly from previous field work, and we hope to build it up into a huge and easily accessible database that anyone, researcher or just an interested member of the public, can access. But
this will always be digital, will it? I mean, it will never be used as plans or drawings to recreate these statues.
Our ultimate end goal is actually to be able to 3D print some of these objects. We've been working for a long time with the 3D printing lab at MIT, and they're doing some really fascinating things with 3D printing that aren't the kind of hefty, undetailed plastic printing structures that we've seen in the past. They're trying new materials, things are getting much clearer, much more detailed, and we ultimately like to use these 3D images to try and recreate some of the artifacts that are being lost.
So really this is a way of trying to preserve, for people who've never been fortunate enough to perhaps travel to Syria and places like this to see these things, but is there any real use in recreating replicas of this, do you think? I mean, it's never quite the same, is it, when you see something rebuilt? I remember in Babylon, for example, Saddam Hussein trying to rebuild Babylon, and it was a disaster because he used new bricks.
Yeah, well, obviously, experientially, it's never going to be quite the same as the original, but you can glean as much, if not more, information from pictures and replicas than you would think. You can touch, you can feel, you can turn around, observe in 360, you can, cut in half, put in pieces, you can look at things in ways that you've never been able to look at them before. And for academics, this is incredibly useful, and for people who've never been able to see these things before, for museum goers or school children, the ability to interact with an object has a lot of potential for learning.
Okay, fascinating. Good luck with the project, Erin.